new name to you guys that you're seeing out there in the market, but it's not their first rodeo, that's for sure. So definitely come on in, hop in one, and check it out. Back to you guys in South Lake Tahoe.
Thanks, Mike. Jonathan, Neal sitting through. You're back in town.
Yeah.
Magic is, I mean, I think what's most amazing about you and your wife have a magic show that you've done together.
Right.
But you guys have been married for how long?
Oh, 30 years, 30 plus years.
Wow, and working the show together, developing it over the years.
Yeah, I worked as a solo act for years and years, and then I saw my wife. She was in a show. I was in the audience, and I said, that's the girl for me.
No way.
Yeah.
She was in another magic show?
Well, it was a variety show. It had jugglers and magic and singers, dancers.
And where was that?
I was in Los Angeles and Santa Monica, and it was kind of in a, like a test run, if you will, like a 6 or 8 week contract before it went to a lounge, back when there were lounge shows. And I was offered a gig in the show, but the money wasn't right for me. But my pal was in the show, so I said, I'll go to support him. And I went back, and he thought I was a very supportive friend, and actually I was just going to see her.
That's great. Yeah, I met my wife sitting right here on this show.
Really?
Too. She came in for an interview talking about when they were building the gondola, and very similar. I said, you know, and here we are 17 years later. So you've spent a lot of time in and out of this town.
Oh, yeah. I first came into this town, I hate to say it, but it was around 81, back when it was the Sahara.
Oh, right.
Before it became the High Sierra, before it became the...
Look at you.
What was it after that?
Horizon.
The Horizon, right.
Yeah.
I did it in every incarnation.
That's amazing you remember it, knowing how many different hotels, casinos you must have
I've worked every one of them.
And then you have this unique gig where you do cruise ships, you and your wife.
That's true. And we do on a ship, we would do 2 different 45, 50-minute, just under an hour shows for a crowd of 1,200 or something.
And then you're just hanging out, eating the buffet, laying out on the deck, swimming. And what's the most exotic place comes to mind you've traveled on one of these cruise ships?
Oh, I have been everywhere from Africa to South America to Antarctica, Tahiti, Fiji, Samoa, every little island in the South Pacific, Australia.
Oh my God.
New Zealand, Japan, China, Vietnam, India. Everywhere in the world. If it's touched by water, I've been there.
Right. God,
Arctic Circle,
What a life. And what's the hardest part of that? Because of course you listen to this and you go, oh my God, you and your wife are on a cruise ship. Sounds perfect. Yeah. So you have to ask, what's the downside?
Yeah. The downside is 2 things. One would be the airport.
Yep.
Because airports are not fun anymore.
That's true.
And the other would be making it so you know how you can pack and live a reasonable life.
Oh, but you must have that down.
My wife has a computer record of everything she's ever taken on any cruise. She says, what, we're going 4 weeks to the Caribbean? I need this.
Oh, it sounds like my wife. Same thing. She's got the check box.
Yeah,
And I kind of just wing it. I'm like, I know I need this.
I bring the same thing.
Same. Yep, I'm the same. I bring the same stuff.
She says, well, what if you're cold? I say, well, I'll put on another shirt.
Yeah. When did you get into town? When's the show start?
Actually, I've been here 2 weeks.
Okay.
We run 7-night weeks, and I'm typically working Thursday to Tuesday. And then Robert Hall does Wednesdays.
Right.
It gives me a relief day.
And who does isn't there a adult magic show?
He does that too.
Okay, and that's on Friday night.
Friday night, 9 o'clock. Not too late, so everyone can go who's appropriate for that. Age appropriate.
So how does it even make sense to ask, like, what does your show look like? How do you explain your show? Is that just a silly question? Because I mean,
it's a common question, so it's not silly, but it's tough to describe. It's almost something you have to see.
Totally.
If you don't see it, otherwise it's words on a page.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, there's some of the material that you bring. Sounds like you could put it all just in a suitcase and.
Well, for the show that we do up here, we do manage to get it small enough. For those who've not seen the showroom, it seats about 105, 110. But the performance area is not much larger than what you have in your green area over there, which is, for the viewing audience, probably 10 feet across, 8 feet deep. So designing the show for this room meant a little bit of tricky work.
Yeah, modifying
and adjustments. A lot happens in the audience because the audience is bigger than the stage.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of things with the audience, in the audience.
You and I were talking during the commercial break, and you made such an interesting point. I was asking you how you got started, and you were talking about some of these great magicians that inspired you early on, and you said you've never heard of these people.
Well, I had heard of them, but a normal person, if you ask an average person to name 2 or 3 magicians, they'll name David Copperfield or Siegfried and Roy, David Blaine, Chris Angel, whatever it is, whoever the flavor of the month is, or flavor of the year. But the greatest magicians are not known to the general public. They're known to other magicians, and maybe they're inventive, maybe they're creative, maybe they have an analytical mind, but they may not have the showmanship or the fortitude or the business machine behind them to make.
But you're saying that, these people that you grew up admiring, these are the ones that really came up with some of the magic that still is being used today. That's so impressive.
Their names in books and magazines that only now live through the people who adopt their routines and say, oh, I want to be like this guy. I want to meet this guy. I want to learn from this guy. And then you filter through your own taste, your own values, and then you put it in front of an audience. I'm kind of a historian performer, meaning that I spend a lot of time looking into the past to see what I can use in the future.
I like it. That's wonderful. Yeah, so you and your wife are here in town.
We're in town.
Till when?
We're here till next Wednesday or Tuesday night. Then Robert Hall will take over the show for 3 weeks. Then Chipper Lowell, I believe, comes back. He's a local favorite here, I know.
Cool.
He comes in from Los Angeles, but I know he's done a lot of work.
And what time's the show tonight?
Tonight's show is at 7 o'clock. Then at because it's Friday tonight, there's a 9 o'clock show with Robert Hall doing, I think they call it Unfiltered. Magic Unfiltered. So it's a little more adult.
Well, great to have you back in
town. We do a brunch show on Sunday, 3 o'clock.
Awesome. Well, keep up the good work. Great to see you back in here.
Always a pleasure, Todd.
Always come back in here and come and talk with us. I'm always interested in what you're doing, where you're traveling to.
Yeah, it's great to be here with all of you.
We'll take a break, and when we come back, more Tahoe Today.
During a